Hi, I'm Tracy Sofra and welcome to the Women of Wealth podcast dedicated to empowering women to achieve financial independence and help her thrive in every area of her life. Today I'm going to be chatting with Susan Bell. Now, Susan is a member of the WOW Women community and she has recently completed the Financial Confidence Program Empower. And I asked Susan to join me today and share her experience with us. Welcome, Susan. Can I just get you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your financial situation, what it was like before you joined the Empower program, and can you give us a little bit of insight about how you were feeling emotionally and some of the thoughts that were running through your head?
Hi, Tracy. Yeah, thanks very much for letting me come on. It's a really interesting thing to reflect on today versus where I was when I signed up to the program. I would say I was very impulsive. I had no real idea about how I was going to invest. I had some investments. I was doing things, but none of it was intentional. It was all accidental. It was impulsive. It was on the whim. And I know that I need to invest. I know that I need to get money under control, but I didn't really have a plan around it. And it was just the right moment that I saw the program and I thought, you know what, I'm going to get involved in this and I'm going to do something before I just waste and flitter my money, because that's what I felt like I was doing, making silly decisions, impulsive decisions, and just flittering my money. And so enrolled in the program. I've really, with gusto, got into each of the modules. I get very focused on things, so that is my current obsession. I got to the cash flow analysis. That was my current obsession. I then completed that. I then got on to, well, what am I going to invest in? And that was my current obsession. So it was a bit of a roller coaster. The cash flow analysis was eye-opening and scary. I had to do that a lot of times with Taryn so that we could get it under control, because it was not in surplus because of just a period or a season of my life where I was being a little silly, really. So it was just really good to take control, bring some intention to everything, and the program gives you that. It gives you a structured process. It gives you a good place and a safe place to have those discussions with no judgment. And I was judging myself. I was embarrassed. I was shocked. I am very lucky to be a high earner, so I'm in the top marginal bracket. I don't have an excuse not to penny pinch. And I was embarrassed by what was there. And it was such an eye-opener and had to happen. It was that moment. And it happened live on the Thursday evening call. I saw my cat because I'd been collecting. I provided a lot of entertainment for people on that call. I had been collecting my data of where I was spending my money and just doing it in an app for about 12 months, not paying attention to it. I would just categorize it and off I went. And I remembered that I'd been doing that, and I was live on the call, and I said, I'll just check the report. And I loaded the report up and I saw what some of these categories were and where the money was going. And I was horrified. And it was a moment, and it was live on the camera on the call. So I went through the wave of emotions, but the team was amazing. And the women in the program that were on the call were super supportive. And they're like, you know what, don't worry, you've got this, that's past. It's now just concentrate on the program, focus, give some intention to it. And that's what I took away. Taking out the impulsiveness, taking out the accidental nature of what I was doing, and bring an intention and focus to my money and what I want to invest in and what my future retirement plans were, which weren't just maybe I'll win Powerball.
There's so many. Sorry, I love everything that you're saying, because it's you're communicating it with such clarity. And if I could point, there's so many little nuggets in there that I could just pick at and just go off on a tangent with that. But, you know, one of the things you're saying is you had an app you were categorizing, but but unless you actually stop and do it the way that we do it in the program, which looks at it holistically and breaks it down, and unless you do it in that way and bring that attention to it, it's something that just floats, and you kind of think, and I usually get this, or have got this over the years with clients saying, oh, it's all in here, but you can't have it all in here. And for those listening, I'm pointing to my head. It can't just be all in your head, because you've got to see it in black and white. You've got to see what's coming in and what's going out, and then scrutinise each one of those items and bring attention to it, put the spotlight on it. So you saying that just simply, reestablishes or proves that apps may be fine, but unless, you're breaking each one down. And, share your background with us, because that's also going to help a lot of women understand that you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be great with math. A lot of these, I just want to demystify these objections. I'm not good with math. I've never done this sort of stuff. Share your background a little bit with us, and I'm sure that's going to really help a lot of women understand that no matter what you do for a living or what your skills are, money is a different skill. This is something totally different. Can you share that part of it with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm pretty well educated. And I'm a partner in a large accounting firm, and I work in tax. So I would have thought that these types of things I should be able to handle. And perhaps there was a little bit of, I know a little bit too much, and you know enough to be dangerous. Those types of educational backgrounds and my day-to-day job is absolutely nothing to do with your own personal finances. And that was the stark reminder, the really bringing it and putting it in your face that I have to bring attention to this. I have to learn how to do this, because all of the other things I've done in life are not going to teach me that. I'm lucky in that maybe I know a little bit more about the terminology because of my job, but the fundamentals of what's coming in, what's going out, how am I categorizing it, weren't there. And it was all accidental. And I'm lucky in that I had what was coming in was enough to cover what was going out to an extent, but without breaking it down in the way that the cash flow analysis did, and be able to identify, well, what can I do? How can I create a surplus easily? And then what can I do with that surplus without that tool? You're relying on no other education to do it. Like, the education I did have is not enough. You don't get taught this in school, and you just, it's not a school taught lesson. And you think about the things you learnt when you were a kid. Really good at budgeting. We had the typical home loan debt, car debt. We weren't drowning in debt, but it was week to week, and you just kind of chipped away at the bills. My learning when I was a kid was, well, no, we don't have money for that, and that's fine. That's understandable. And then my reaction to that when I finally had my own money was a bit like a 15-year-old whose parents were away for the weekend, and I had the credit card. So I'd lived a little bit like that. So it's just a little out of control. And as you can be someone that's the fascinating thing about the program. There's a broad church of people doing the program, and we're all together on the Q&A calls and on the money date calls on the Thursdays. There's so much variety that's brought to those, from people who are highly educated and might work in the finance field, and you would expect to know these things, all the way to people that perhaps don't work in that field, earn a different level of income, and it doesn't matter. Everybody's having the same issues, and you come to the Empower program to learn about it. And the amazing things that people are getting out of it is it allows them to take control and have intention. That's my biggest takeaway. I now have a plan, and I'm not just really flittering money away.
Yeah. And can I just say, your skills are specializations, just like when I first started out in my accounting career. Just because I do tax and I'm good with numbers and I love numbers and spreadsheets doesn't make me I don't automatically know how to manage money. It is a totally separate specialization, but the the general consensus out there is, oh well, you're an accountant, you would know how to invest, you would know how to manage money. Absolutely not. It's like chalk and cheese, and we kind of really need to shine the light on that. It's a different specialization. It's a different area of knowledge, and. Here's another thing I'll demystify. As I was growing up, we were taught, very traditional, obviously, but, if you're a doctor and a dentist and, those high-end professions, that's all sort of changed these days. But, if you were making a lot of money, you must have been really well off. Nothing could be further from the truth. Just because you're great at your job or your profession or what you're doing doesn't make you good with money. It's a totally different thing. And I had to learn that. Exactly like you. I had to bring intention to it. I had to shine the light on it. And maybe the fact that we're both very comfortable with numbers might make it easier, but it didn't mean that I knew how to get a cash flow surplus, how to stop using my credit card, how to start investing. And the more I delved into it, much like you, the more I fell in love with it and loved the empowerment it gave me. It took away the anxiety and put the control back in my hands. And so thank you for sharing that. I just digressed a little bit because I thought that would be something really valuable for everyone that's watching and listening, to understand that. And don't let that hold you back, and don't let shame come into it or embarrassment, saying to yourself, oh, I'm in finance, I'm in accounting, I'm in this, I'm good with numbers. How come I don't know this? You're not meant to know this. Money's a skill not taught. Investing is a skill not taught. And the general knowledge out there, or what is spruiked out there, is 9 times out of 10 not real. And that's why I'm here to, say it as it is, if you like. So if we could come back to, if I could just touch on fear. Did you have any level of fear before joining the program when you thought about your retirement years? Was there any element of fear there?
There was an immense amount of fear when I think about retirement. A lot of that is wrapped up in, so I'm single, I'm kind of by myself, I don't have a partner, so it's basically all on me. And so a lot of the fear was wrapped up in, well, if I lose my job, I'm going to be homeless and under the bridge tomorrow. And that it's really interesting. You think that fear would drive you to action and go, well, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. What it does is it makes you put your head in the sand and not really, the fear overwhelms you, and then you don't do anything about it. Now, and the fear is unwarranted. There's so many things in place to make sure that doesn't happen, but it gets quite overwhelming. And that fear was real, mixed in with a healthy dose of guilt, and that shame around, hey, I'm a high earner and I spend all of my money and I haven't got anything to show for it. Well, I think I had nothing to show for it, but then as you go through the program, you reflect and you go, actually, no, I've done pretty good on these areas, but now let's enhance them. And then guilt around, I earn a large amount of money than I do compared to my siblings and my family, and the way that manifested. So there's a lot of money mindset and a bit of self-reflection that takes place in the first part of that program, which is really eye-opening and quite, some of it's a bit humbling. And it takes a few days for your brain to, you kind of need to rest your brain to take about a week to deal with the unpacking of some of the things that you're dealing with. Now, I entered the program expecting, let's figure out how much money you can invest and then let's just figure out a way to get in the market. And then you come to the program and you go, no, hang on. Let's figure out what's driving what you're doing at the moment. And that was, okay. Let's take a deep dive into that. And that was really, really a discovery process, which, we go, why am I fearful? why do I feel guilty? Where does this shame come from? Why do I spend the way I do? And that was really eye-opening. And that helps you bring intention to the next part, because I can do my cash flow, which I then had to adjust to come up with what I'd like my cash flow to be going forward, and make good decisions. Well, why am I spending that money the way I am? Okay, well, maybe I can do that differently, or and just look for areas to sharpen from. So yeah, it's that.
So you could connect those two. You could.
Yes.
Yes, yes. So when you're looking at your cash flow and seeing cash flow is your income and your expenses, it's really a picture of what you're doing. And that's why in the program we start with your mindset, your financial DNA, if you like, where you come from when it comes to money, so you can understand the behaviour. I can't stress this enough. And when I learned this about myself, it was the biggest light bulb moment ever. I had no idea that my behaviour, if I didn't change my behaviour around money, it didn't matter if I earned $1 million, I would have done the same thing. So it's not about the money. Yep. It's about how you behave with money. And I love that you're saying you needed about a week to kind of digest. And I often say, take that time and, have that reflective time. It is key. And it's not fluff, let me tell you, because, I'm an accountant. I don't kind of do a lot of fluff. So I just put that disclaimer in there. I understand, manifestation. I get that too. Don't get me wrong. But at some point you have to act, because manifestations are going to create things magically. I'm not fairy godmother here. But manifestation is important because of the subconscious mind and picturing where you want to go. Totally on board there. But coming back to the money mindset and all of that, key. And, much like everyone else, when I did that, I kind of went, oh, my God, I'm my father. And I can't believe it was in front of me the whole time and I hadn't even seen it. So I'm really pleased that what you're sharing is just gold with everyone that's listening. Yeah. Tell me about...
I found mine fascinating. It wasn't that I was replicating my parents, it was that I was having a temper tantrum as a teenager, going against it and going, well, I'm going to spend all the money now.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing. So, anyway, it was fascinating.
Well, we all respond. We all respond in different ways, don't we? But it's the awareness. Yeah. It's the awareness around that. It's just being aware of your actions and the impact those actions are going to have on the decisions you make, and those decisions are going to pretty much give you the outcome, good or bad. So the sooner we get all over that, you get in the driver's seat. That's the important part, no matter where you're at. The motivation to invest. So what sort of motivated you to start thinking seriously, I guess, about investing for your retirement?
Yeah, so the main driver behind that was I've got a pretty high stress job, and obviously you can access your super at 60. And so on one hand it was, am I maximizing my super to the full extent that I possibly can so that it's there ready to access at 60? But then the second part was, I want to have flexibility and choice before 60 if I wanted to make a different career decision, and just give choice. Like, I might do this role until I'm 60 or I might not. And at the moment, I don't have that choice. And so the key thing was to have that choice, particularly before 60. And then know that, for instance, part of my retirement plan isn't to sell my home to fund retirement. It was, no, I don't need to sell my home to fund retirement. I've actually funded my retirement out of my other investments. I have some other investments, and they were all impulsively acquired on a whim. And I know I need, like 12 months ago, I was talking with my friend about I need to invest, and he's like, well, fill this app out and track your expenses. That's how that happened. And then I spent 12 months not really knowing what to do. And it was one of those, in the moment, then you see the program and you're like, actually, maybe that's the way I need to deal with this. And that's exactly why I enrolled. But I'm at that point where I needed to make decisions around investments, particularly for that pre-60 investment. And then the super investment, just making sure that that's going to be enough out into retirement without having to sell my home. Or if I did sell my home, that was a choice. It wasn't a requirement.
So better understanding of retirement planning, is that what the Empower program sort of helped you understand?
Yeah. In retirement planning and building wealth and making the best use of my high income earning years as I possibly can and not wasting it. And then that's at a macro level. And then at a more micro level, the Q&As in particular have been really helpful from a direct strategy point of view for right now. Okay, I've got a pool of funds. Should I or shouldn't I put it into super right now? How does the tax work around that? Is now the right time to do that? And just being able to validate and have a good conversation about those things in the immediate term to set the next 12 months up and then plan the 24 months after that, having, settled on what my next 12 months plan is. All of those feeding into ultimately dealing with what's my retirement look like after 60, but what's that, say, 55 to 60 period look like?
Yeah, powerful. What about can you talk about some of the strategies and tools? So what financial strategies or tools did you learn that, in the Empower program that made the biggest difference for you?
Yeah, so in the immediate term, one of the biggest ones was just understanding superannuation and the tax. Like, I abstractly knew about the tax benefits of superannuation and carryback rules around investing into super for, looking at your previous 5 years and investing up to whatever your carryback amounts could be, making best use of that. When are you eligible for that? When are you not? So that was really useful, just validating that and making sure that, therefore, the strategy I was thinking about was right. So that's one. The second one is then, well, what about investments outside of super and the wealth of, there's shares, there's property. How should I approaching all of those? And the education through the program, just to simplify it. And the biggest messaging in the program is like, yes, I could go and day trade on the market. And yes, sure, I could go and, sign up to those things that say, let's get 10 properties in 10 years. It's like, oh, that's really complicated. And you get distracted by looking at everything that comes up on your Facebook feed. You just need to come back to the program's mantra, which is simple, systematic, and safe. That really resonated me because it is simple, it is systematic and safe. The systematic absolutely sings to me as an accountant. The simple does because I'm super busy. And the safe is it's really important because I don't have a backup. It's just me. So I want to make sure the decisions I'm making around my investments sit in a safe bucket. Not safe conservative, but safe for my risk level, knowing that I've made good decisions about where to put those funds: super, outside super, shares, property.
Yeah, and really powerful in that understanding that getting invested is the key thing. Too many
100%.
Too many complications, too many options, too many distractions, and these, bells and whistles that are out there in social media are distracting, are confusing. 9 times out of 10, be very wary. My message always is tell the truth. Tell the truth about the simplicity and make it accessible to everyone that they can actually invest without having to be a financial guru. It is not rocket science. That's the message that I'm pleased to hear is coming through the program, because that was the total intention of that. You mentioned it at the start of our conversation about the non-judgmental, safe, beautiful space. Can you describe how the mentorship and the coaching, provided within the community helped guide your decisions?
Yeah, it's twofold actually. So there's the coaching and the mentoring provided by your team. So Taryn, I spent a number of calls with Taryn And she was great in terms of obviously helping through the mechanics and the cash flow and how the system works and making sure that I can make the most out of the different tools. But in those conversations, like I'd share, oh, geez, I feel so bad about this. And I'd share a lot about the guilt and the background and the things that came out with my kind of self-reflection. And she was just so supportive. You're running your own race in a way. Like there's no judgment here. That's the past. And they were just, Taryn did a fantastic job of, you think you're getting coached on money, but you're really getting coached from a mindset perspective and just trying to quieten your brain about all of the self-judgment and put that little negative Nancy up on the shelf and don't listen to her. You've got this. And so it's super, like, it's a well-named program, the Empower program. It's exactly what it does. So it is quite empowering and the support that you get around that is incredible. And then the second component is the Q&A and the money mindset calls on Thursday. I forget the name of it.
Money dates.
Thursday call.
Yeah, money dates.
Money dates. So those are incredible because the Q&A is you hear other people's questions and you go, yeah, I've got that challenge as well. And then to hear the responses, it's just the amount of information you get just from listening and the validation of like, yeah, I'm having that experience as well. Okay, that's how you navigated it is incredible. And then the money dates is great because you get to converse directly with other people on the program. And the really cool thing is there's people on the program that are way further along than I am, and they've had the challenges. And it's like, oh, hey, how did you grapple with this challenge? And they say, oh, this is what I did. And those you can't have that conversation with anyone. I mean, maybe we should, and this kind of might encourage it out into the world, but the ability to have those conversations was really powerful, and you just felt seen, and it's absolutely non-judgmental. And so being able to have that facilitated for people on the program is really amazing. And like I've got them in my diary now as like my diary is very busy, and I highlight things in red that are like client meetings, cannot miss. That is in there. Both of the Wednesday and the Thursday sessions are absolutely, do not book anything over the top of these. These are must-dos because I get such value out of them on a weekly basis. They're incredible. And I love that. I missed last night, so I was very sad. I'll have to watch the replay. But the interaction on those is incredible.
Yeah, but you showing up and prioritising yourself, and as you know, we talk about playing full out in the Empower program, is the difference is, it comes from you too, without a doubt. It's reciprocal. You show up, we show up, and things get done. But money should be spoken about more often, as I was growing up and still probably to today, it's a taboo subject. Oh, it's not polite conversation. We don't talk about money. It's almost like that. But it doesn't have to be around boasting or anything. It can just be about conceptually speaking about money openly and honestly, and not trying to impress other people by, where you are or this sort of competitiveness. It should never be about that. But, as you say, that is the environment that we want to bring because that's where the value is. That's where the gold is. Light bulb moment. Can you share an example of a key financial insight? I know you've shared a few, but probably your biggest light bulb moment that had a major impact on your planning.
There's two. The first one, which I shared already, was I was on the Money Dates call and I looked at the report out of my app, and anyone that was on that call, in fact, a couple of weeks later, someone referred to that moment. So it's provided some laughs for people because I've obviously gotten over it. But that was a real light bulb moment. That was the catalyst for I need to absolutely, like I already knew I had to do something about it. I'd enrolled in the program. I was engaged. But that was the real moment that was like, I need to make some drastic action here and grow up. Stop being that 15-year-old who's having a temper tantrum with a credit card. So that's one. The second one was at the end of the execution plan. The level of relief that I had that all of the adjustments that I had made off the back of that very harsh realization of what I had been doing, and all of the adjustments and all of the planning and the strategies that I put in place, and then to get that execution plan at the end to see that it would put me in a place that I wasn't going to be homeless under the bridge. That fear had been allayed, and it was such a level of relief. And then, great, I've got this. I've got confidence to do this. I know my next 12 months plan. I know my next 24 months plan. Having that and receiving that was just, oh, okay, that is a relief, and that is now giving me a plan. I've got focus. So those two moments, there's mini moments throughout everything, particularly doing with the Q&A and listening to everyone's stories and how it applies to you. But those two moments for me personally have been really, highlights. One low light and one highlight.
Yeah, and if you can imagine before you started the program to how you felt about your finances, and maybe some of it was thinking it was okay, and then during the course of the program realising it wasn't actually okay. How do you feel now?
I feel really, it's trying to find that. The fact that I've got a plan and that I feel I'm not fearful. It's a long plan. I can't retire tomorrow. But the fact that I've got control and intention and I've got a focus, just the removal of that fear is incredible. And that I will be okay in retirement. I'll be okay into my 50s. I'll be okay into my 60s and 70s. And knowing that I will have choice, that I will be independent, I'll be financially independent, that I don't have to rely on anybody else or anything else, it's a great place to be in. And it's interesting because you'd think fear would motivate you, but it doesn't. It paralyzes you and you can't do anything and you don't make good choices. You stick your head in the sand. Now, I actually think I'm going to do better than, there's whatever I think might happen on paper today after doing all of these things. I actually think I'll do better because you've got momentum and I'm now in tune with it. I'm now paying attention to it. I actually enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to getting through. I kind of want to fast forward this 12 months and deal with my super so that I can get into the investing side of things a little more excitedly. I'm devouring financial media at the moment. I'm devouring your podcast. And really looking forward to doing that part. So I think because I'm bringing attention to it and I've got a momentum behind it, I think I'll do better than
100%.
Perhaps so that's quite exciting. The other thing I'm really excited about, the other thing that I'm going to have different conversations with my family, particularly I call them nibblings, so my nieces and nephews. So I've got really little ones and I've got younger adult ones. And I want to take some of these learnings, and it's like that whole question, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? And I want to pay it forward in a way and kind of help them understand how this works, and they can be in a much better position when they're my age than they perhaps could be otherwise. So that's the other thing.
That's powerful to be able to spread that.
And not a taboo.
Yeah. And to tell it like it is, if I can say, to tell the truth, because I do feel that, in the position that I'm in and everything that I see, and it's much like anybody else in their particular profession. They can listen to someone else and they're either going to say, you're right on the money, or, geez, that's a lot of BS, and you're trying to sell someone something. That's not real. I know that's not real. And that's what I'm calling out. Saying that's not real, you're just trying to sell people something to get ahead, but you're not actually solving their problems. So it's about telling the truth and building, foundational knowledge for everyone. So yes, pass down the baton, Susan, pass down the baton.
Yes.
The program's called the Financial Confidence Program. Empower is the acronym. How has your confidence in managing your money and your retirement grown as a result of the program? Maybe give us a before and after kind of confidence level.
Yeah, so before it was head in the sand, impulsive, decision in the moment. So I, put some shares into the market in a lump sum because I had a bit of spare money, and it was, well, I'll do that because I think it's what I'm supposed to do, and then didn't do anything else active around any other form of investing. I was just spending money without thought, and the greatest overriding fear was I would be homeless under the bridge. And I don't know how I'm going to retire which is silly.
And you thought that, can I just highlight? Yeah, you thought that at that high income level.
100%, which is wild, but I did.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't understand what I was doing and how to think about things and how to approach it, which is also wild given my profession, which we talked about earlier, which it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because that's not, we don't learn these things. And so part of it was a lot of ignorance, a lot of fear, a lot of just pretending it'll be okay, but also with, maybe it won't. And a lot of those types of feelings drive choices of behaviors that, it's so all interconnected, like money and food. Like my Uber Eats bill was insane, and that affects your health. It's all so interconnected. Now, I have a plan. I know exactly what I'm doing. I have intention. I think about where I'm going to spend my money. Well, is that actually serving me? Why am I spending this money? Like, sure, I've got a bit of a Lego passion. I did a 30-day kind of dry July, which was a dry July of no spending money. And but there was this particular Lego that came out that I really wanted to buy, and so I thought about it for a good month about why does it serve all these purposes, and then I chose to buy it in the end. But I didn't buy 3 others, and there are very good, real reasons. Whereas in the past, I would have just been on a busy day at work. I was tired, maybe I was cranky, I had a bad experience at work or whatever it was, and I would just tap, purchase, do it, turned up in the mail, done. So I'm just bringing a different level of thinking to everyday decisions that were on autopilot. And it's made a massive difference to confidence. It's fascinating in that it actually plays out in other areas of your life. Like, I now have a purpose. Like, I know what my purpose is with my money, right? I know what my purpose is, what I want to achieve in kind of 15, 20 years. I now go to work, and because I've got that purpose, it gives me a purpose for being at work a little more sharply than it was before. So I've noticed a few things. Like, I've noticed that the way in which I approach things at work is a little bit differently too, which I found fascinating. That was an interesting experience to have, to then have that play out in another area. Not just, this isn't just confidence for finances. It's confidence for other areas too. So it's incredible.
It is. I love that you mentioned that, because it does play out in every other area of your life, because that financial confidence changes at some level who you are and how you approach everything else in life. And the people around you will notice something different, and they'll think, what's Susan up to? Like, she's a bit different, your surroundings, whether it's at work, your family, your friends, the conversations, the way you're conducting yourself, the way you're speaking, it does permeate to every other area of your life, because there's a shift. There's a what was unconscious is now conscious right here, right now, and being intentional with what you're doing with your money. And, at the end of the day, anyone listening has heard you say, I have a plan, and, you've just mentioned 10, 15 years, and they might be thinking, oh, geez, that's a long time. But the plan is evolutionary. Now that Susan has all of the tools and the confidence and the knowledge and the foundational basis, she will just continue to build on that over those years. And it's quite exciting to know that I've got this. Like, I really have this now. I'm no one's victim anymore, and I don't feel like that anymore. And a plan's just a plan on paper, and Susan's out there doing it. So it's in the doing of anything, and it will just it is about intention. It is about, focus and making I often say this in my podcast, It's like the new you. You're no longer putting your head in the sand. Your financial life is now part of your life, just like getting good sleep, good nutrition, maybe trying to be intentional with, don't go to the gym and kill yourself, but, be intentional with movement, mental health, all of that, financial health. This is your financial health. And I guess, how do you feel now financially from a health point of view? Is there some sort of relief?
Yeah, absolute relief that I know what to do. It's not complicated. It's that point. It's simple, it's systematic, it's safe. And so I don't have to wonder, geez, am I going to be okay in my later years? How am I going to achieve this? Oh my God, I'm never going to get there. I don't have to wonder now. I've done the work. I've worked through the program. I know that I'm not going to, I know that I've got tools to make sure I don't revert back to 15-year-old on the weekend with the credit card from the, I've got sure, we're not going to be perfect, but I've got tools in place to enable me to just have regard to the way I'm feeling at the time, to the way I'm spending. I've got a cash flow management plan, which is simple. It's very straightforward. And then I've got a systematic way with which I'm going to invest for either in or outside super. And that's just gives a level of comfort and a level of security, a level of empowerment that I'm doing it myself. I haven't outsourced this to someone and I don't know what's going on with it. And I've just got to trust that they're doing a good job. So that's really important as well. And so all of those things, they just add up, and they alleviate the things I had before, which was I've got fear, I've got embarrassment, I've got my head in the sand, I've got guilt, and all of those things go away. You've got to monitor, and you can't turn off those feelings all the time. But I've got strategies, and I've got a way of dealing with those things. And when you get overwhelmed, and that happens, I'll get excited about investing and I go and devour a few other different podcasts, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I've got to go and then I just go, hang on. Come back to the core learnings of the program. It's simple, systematic, safe. This is what I've decided to do. This is my plan. The next 12 months is to do this. The 12 months after that is to do this. I come back and revisit. And I just come back to the plan. I come back to the program, distill all of the noise. I re-cleanse my Facebook feed to get rid of all of that, which I have had to do a couple of times, and just to get rid of the noise and then come back and get rid of that overwhelm. So, it's a case of I was here and then I'm here and then I'm here forever. It's I was here, I'm here, and I now have the tools to make sure that if these old kind of habits which have been ingrained for, I'm 44, right? So 44 years, if they start to rear up again, hang on, I see you. Let's just put you back in your box for a bit. Yeah. And that's comforting.
100%. Yeah, totally get that. Yeah, powerful words there. So, okay, so someone's listening to this podcast and they're saying, well, Susan, that's all good for you. You're 44, but I'm 55, 60 or whatever age I am. It's too late for me. I'm not sure I can invest this money in myself. Is it worth it? I'm kind of sitting on the fence. What are you going to say to them?
I'm going to say the most inspiring people in the program that I've met and listened to on the Q&A or I've talked to in the money dates are those people. So they're all older than me. They're all way closer to retirement than I am, and they are absolutely inspiring. What they've done, how they've turned things around, the learnings that they've gone from, and they are from backgrounds that are fundamentally different to me. But at their core, they had the same thing. Fear. I don't know what to do. They've had kind of financial hits in their life, or whatever the case may be. They are the most inspiring people in the program. And if you're saying, oh, well, I can't do it because I'm in that age bracket, you can be one of the most inspiring people in the program because they've done it and they're doing it, and it's unbelievable and incredible. And I take so much from them because they're further along in the program. They share really well with you. And I would strongly encourage anybody out there thinking those types of things to get on board and do something for yourself and invest in yourself, no one else is going to invest in you in the way that this program will. So just do it, and then become one of those inspiring people in the program. And they're the best people to listen to. They are amazing.
They're brilliant, aren't they? They really
they're
are.
So good.
They really are. No matter the challenges, no matter their starting point, everyone's age, starting point financially, end goal, time frame, everything is different because no one human is the same. And they've just got this courage, this, do it scared mentality that no matter where you are, let's put it this way. If you stay in the same position because you're skeptical, you're not sure, you don't want to invest in yourself and you're still scared, you'll still be in that position, whether it's 1 year, 3, 5, 10, whatever. If you do something, you're always going to be in a better position. But when I say do something worth doing, I guess. Don't go off on tangents.
Yeah, play full out.
Yeah, play full out. You go.
Yeah, I love that saying.
I do too. And that's our mantra at WOW, obviously. Susan, it's an absolute pleasure to have had this chat with you. I know we've had multiple chats on the Q&A and I always look forward to them. And we were geeking out the other week, weren't we? And everyone was like,
we were.
Two accountants.
Like, just a little new, two accountants. I was worried it was a bit, but the chat, I don't know if you saw the chat afterwards.
Yeah.
There were people saying, "Oh, this is a great conversation." I'm like, "Oh, that's wonderful."
They were loving it. And that's what the community is like. That's what they're like. They're just beautiful. I just want to thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us and our beautiful community listening. And I'm so happy with where you're at, and I'm just so proud. So the sky's the limit. And
thanks, Tracy.
Best of luck. Thank you, Susan. And if you'd like to explore, thank you, Susan. So if you'd like to explore what Empower can do for you and you've been inspired by the wonderful Susan Bell, then make sure to call or book a call with one of our strategists. It's absolutely free. All you need to do is go onto our website, which is wowwomen.com.au, click onto our programs, and away you go. And if you found today's episode particularly helpful, please share it with a friend, leave us a review, and don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode. Until then, take control of your wealth and your future.